Hey Chuck, how are you?
Yeah, there he is, man.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. God, you're looking a year older.
I'm feeling like 5 years older.
Yeah. How was your Christmas and stuff?
Interesting. My wife had COVID during Christmas.
Oh, God, no kidding.
Yeah, no,
My
she
son in Chicago had it.
did. He really?
Yeah.
Hmm,
And started out as a strep throat kind of a thing and then moved. I don't know. I think they're calling everything COVID now, though,
probably. Yeah.
yeah, when they get into it. But,
Now she has the COVID cough.
oh, God.
They say that's.
Well, my daughter, we had our first grandbaby.
I saw.
So my wife is crazy because she can't see it. It's just, it, and she gets mad at me, of course.
Oh, yeah. He's a
Wow.
cute little guy.
Yeah. Henry Hamlin, and yeah, and yeah, it's nice to see your genetic material being passed down, I guess.
Yeah. Are you taking credit or your wife?
I don't know. Oh my gosh. How did is your year? Are you fiscal, or is your calendar fiscal, or are you September?
End of
What's
January.
Yeah, end of January. Okay.
Yeah, a couple more weeks. Yeah.
Are you guys gonna have a good year?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and a great year. I'll tell you what, this year is going to be tough. Getting
Why?
product is just insane.
Oh,
Right.
no kidding. Because the supply chains are all fucked up.
Well, I mean, Europe and the U.S. are sitting on containers. We ship the empty ones back over. China doesn't have containers to put product in to ship back over here.
Wow.
On Tuesday, there were 48 vessels waiting to unload. That were anchored out at sea, waiting to unload in the U.S.
48.
48.
Is that because of the tariffs and stuff, or what? Does that have anything to do with it? It's just
Now,
weird.
just the demand is so
Uh-huh.
high right now.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're going to pump another 3 trillion. Hi, Marilyn.
Good afternoon, you all.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. We're just waiting for one more to show up, Kevin, and then I'll introduce you and we can kick it around for a little bit. But you're famous at Oregon State University now. You don't even know that.
Oh, really? Is that sunshine I see out your window back there?
What's that?
Is that sunshine I see out Marilyn's window behind you?
It is. It's so shocking. I'm dealing with fallen trees and water in the crawl space and all
Oh,
this
no.
stuff. And all of a sudden, it's been beautiful. So I need this.
That's what Oregon's like, though. The sun will come back out in July.
Yeah.
something
Right.
like that.
So
How long
Kevin,
have you? How
where
long
are
have,
you?
yeah, how long have you been in Atlanta, Kevin?
Oh,
11 years, and then South Carolina for 7 years, and then Kentucky for 4 years,
Okay.
and then Oregon before that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Right. Well, I was glad you could make it, even though I'm sorry it's 7:00. But we already set this meeting up, and I thought we'd call. I thought we might kill a couple birds with one stone. Hi, Andrea.
oh,
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. And again, I sent you an email this morning, and I thought what we might have a more productive meeting because what I wanted to do was introduce Kevin, because Kevin was actually very instrumental in that last round we did in spring term, and he's actually in a job that's pretty aligned with, I think, our mutual interests. So maybe what I thought I would do is Kevin, maybe just introduce yourself. Maybe I don't know how to do it, but maybe Kevin, introduce yourself, and then Marilyn and Andrea, and then we can kind of kick around this idea, because it's gained some momentum, this whole idea of transdisciplinary work and combining engineering with design, and it's elevated to a level. And I've always been in favor of this. Marilyn's the first person I met when I joined the faculty. We sat next to each other at a faculty meeting, and I don't know if you remember, Kevin, that I owned a glass business for a while.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and that's where I really learned that if you bring design in early in the process, the entire supply chain makes more money, and it's a better product. So, and Marilyn and I have and Andrea, we've kind of, ad hoc fiddled around with doing this. We had one term where we did a barley beer and we brought design in at the end and stuff like that. But I think this is with a partner like Home Depot, I think we could really rev this thing up. So in full disclosure, Kevin and I worked together at Emerson Electric probably 20 years ago or something like that. And we've moved several directions, but we've seemed to keep in touch. So I'll turn it over to you, Kevin. Introduce yourself and tell the group what you do and how you're gonna, how we're gonna, how do you want to see, what did you think about the class and all that other stuff?
Okay, great. So Kevin Moore, I have been at Home Depot for 11 years, and my title, we're the world of acronyms at Home Depot. I'm a PDM, which means Product Development Merchant. And currently I'm responsible for our patio program. Prior, other departments I've handled at Home Depot are tools, hardware, storage and organization, Halloween, holiday, outdoor garden, indoor garden, home decorators collection catalog business. I've had a lot of different businesses at Home Depot I've worked in. Always in the product development role. That's been I love product. I love everything about it. I'm a DIYer. Home Depot was a perfect fit for me because I was on the vendor side prior to coming to Home Depot. So I've always sold to Home Depot or their competitors. When I had a chance to come here, it was like a blessing to get my orange apron and work for Home Depot. The class that I was able to sit in on with Chuck was very, very interesting. Bringing together sustainability, listening to these students with their great ideas about, how to incorporate sustainability into a product, and then the way that they thought about marketing was very interesting. And the one that sticks out to me that I really was impressed by was the bicycle rack, which was basically creating a piece of art, a functional piece of art, to show off their bikes, and that, that audience loves the outdoors, and to bring all that together was just a great product. Not something Home Depot would sell necessarily, but just the whole idea of how this all came together and how Chuck started in the very beginning with what is the product, and how do they don't have to worry about figure out how to make it necessarily, but how would they think about getting it to market? So it was a great experience for me.
And so to lead on to that, I'll introduce to Marilyn and then Andrea. But to lead into that is that they formed this initiative, and Marilyn is on the board, or she's on the working group with this Impact Studio. But this is leading in that direction of doing things. And one of the things we want to focus on is the practical nature of maybe getting this at that level and kicking off a class or doing something, but also maybe there's a model where we can work with Home Depot as a company and challenge students and even challenge you guys, and together with our resources come up with lots of different products and lots of different categories. And Marilyn's she's kind of heading this idea. Marilyn, why don't you just introduce yourself to Kevin, and we'll.
Sure. It's nice to meet you. I'm Marilyn Reed, and I'm presently the program director for apparel design and interior design. And in the College of Business, we have the design programs, and we've got 4 different degrees under that category. And they also include design and innovation management and merchandising management. So our students take the design core. All 4 programs take a design core at the 100 and 200 level. And then they go on and select their major and move forward. And then the thing that Chuck was talking about with the initiative through Impact Studio, it is all about kind of this idea of innovation across these colleges, and to make it more feasible for different companies and sponsors to work with the university. Right now, it's kind of difficult to do that the way kind of that OSU is structured. And so this idea of bringing in more sponsors and we're having students from the College of Business and design programs, from the College of Liberal Arts, from the College of Engineering, working together in these classes is really the key. And when I saw kind of that management approach that you used, Chuck, with the class, that's when I thought about, okay, design and innovation management is way beyond the interior design students. It can include interior design students, but it fits better with design and innovation management just across the board, like you're saying, a variety of products, and learning the management piece. It's called design and innovation management. So that's why, Andrea will be key in this process, as well as the Impact Studio. So I'll hand it over to you, Andrea.
Thanks. Hey, so I'm Andrea Marks. My background is graphic design, but I've been I guess, kind of spearheading with Marilyn this, we call it DIM, Design and Innovation Management, major now. It's a major as of this year. And yeah, it's been really exciting launching a new program with just, defining it and trying to explain what exactly this major is and what students can do in it. It's not a silo clear, like interior design, you're going to do this, product design, you're going to be a product designer, graphic design, you're going to do. So it's students enter into this major either as double majors with something like interior or apparel, or they did not, perhaps they wanted interior apparel or merch, and they didn't get into the competitive program. So they come and we keep them in the college through this, which is fine because they realize they're still involved in creativity. It's just not through that pipeline. Or some just want to do something in management and business, but want a bit more creativity in the realm of, possibly working in a large or small company, but like in a Nike or an Adidas, but within the creative teams in some management position, or in an agency advertising, or it could be, any number of things, operations and studio management or something. So yeah, I don't know a ton about the class. I read it, I have to be frank, somewhat quickly, just because I've got beginning of the term a lot going on, but I do think one thing that would be great is to do some either it becomes a capstone or interdisciplinary capstone, or working with industry is always so great for students on some kind of sponsored project. I'm doing a simulation, so not a real project with Nike. This is the third year in the Intro to Design Management class this quarter. And they love it. It's not real, but it is somebody from Nike who comes and, it's judged and they eat that project up. So they're always looking for collaborations. In fact, a student today asked if there was a place online where they could find some kind of like design briefs for design management to put some projects together on their own for their portfolios, just to have some. So I do think this, this is certainly relevant to this major. How we go about it is just, I'm not 100% sure. I've got involved with EDS a little bit this summer with a few workshops that I was invited to, and it was really interesting for me to learn about this initiative. And I've also known about Impact. I have DIM students have been interns there, and I've had Rich come talk to my students. So there's a lot of crossover with Impact Studio and what our students are doing.
It sounds very interesting to allow these students to collaborate with cross-functional partners like that before they come into the real world. They're a step ahead.
Well, yeah, but it's very challenging in academia just due to scheduling and student schedules. And then, if it were up to me, I'd love multidisciplinary classes. I'd love to team teach things. I think that's really real world, and it's just real challenging. I've been here 29 years, and I've only done that once with a class. Over several years, but one class called Collaborative Processes, and it was fantastic. But there's a lot of reasons they don't like teachers teaching together. A lot of it has to do with contracts and numbers of hours that you're teaching. That's true, right, Marilyn?
It is so true. And yeah. That's the goal, Andrea. I've had the exact same problem. That is exactly what we've been talking about in EDS, which is going to be changing its name. It's right now called Engineering and Design for Society. And I think the word design is going to be in the name, and Design for Society or something along those lines. But the goal is to hire a strategic engagement manager, or I don't know, so I can't remember quite what it's SEM, but basically the person is going to be working with the different sponsors to bring it in. And we have kind of a version of that in the College of Business, which is under the marketing area. So we're kind of ahead of the game in that respect. But the idea is to do exactly what you're talking about, which is to have team teaching and to make it easier on the students' schedules, and hopefully to be able to work across this capstone, both in your capstone, which would be, the winter, spring, or even fall, winter, spring. And then with the College of Business, they have a bachelor's of science degree in design for society, or whatever the name ends up being. So we would have then engineering students, and to have the scheduling of the classes so the students can work together and also work with the sponsors. So it takes this extra hire, which we're going to be interviewing some people pretty soon to be able to do that. So Andrea, you're addressing all of the problems, and those are ones that we're talking about. And the reason that I'm optimistic, and I hope I'm right, is that the provost really wants to make this happen. So if he can work with the way that tenure and promotion works here, and the way hiring works here, and all of this stuff, and scheduling, which is just an absolute nightmare here, I think, at Oregon State University. But if he can influence how all of that's done so that we can do this, I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah. And I was thinking of, I think a great, and maybe you didn't think of this, Marilyn, but I mean, I think that what was missing in that class that I did with partnering with Home Depot is actually that design element. You know what I mean? That it's that bringing the design in early in the thing. Because I think if we had that, because we don't even know if we could make that bike rack. We think we could, but that kind of thing. So that's where I see the real value going. And so I would think that if we wanted to pilot something like this, I would think that we could certainly get Home Depot interested in helping, and or maybe even creating a partnership or something. I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, and I'll just add that our students are just, in terms of designing products, that's not what they're learning. They're not actually learning how to be product designers. So bringing in some engineering from I think it's called MIME, mechanical and what is it, Marilyn?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's MIME,
yeah.
Mechanical and manufacturing.
Yeah, and they actually have some really great product designer faculty there who, they have PhDs in some aspect of engineering, but with a product orientation, and they've got all the prototyping equipment and such, and they should come in too as a team member in some way, I think.
See, that's the goal. So we've been working with the MIME faculty all along, and they actually drove this from the very beginning. And so bringing them in at this capstone level, for more than one term, with the guidance of Home Depot, and really, what the request is, and then working with the wood, and working with all that. That's why it's going to take a lot of strategic planning, right?
Yeah, and our students can help with management and communication, and some strategy, and some this or that when they're ready, and seniors.
So what we do here
Oops, you're muted for some reason. I think your cat flicked.
My cat
flicked
sat on it. Sorry. She when I start talking, she's always sitting here. What we've learned at Impact Studio is that the sponsors are, they really believe that the business piece is so very important. So Andrea, the background that your students are getting is just so invaluable for bringing to the table for the engineering students. So I think that that's really what can make the success of it when we look at a company like Home Depot and say this is
what I kept thinking about as the class emerged, and I got to reconnect with Kevin and Home Depot and what these guys are doing, is that they have an interest Home Depot has an interest in, doing stuff I mean, if we can come up with a product that's a sustainable product that is priced right, and then Home Depot, that they want to sell as much as they can. I mean, our interest align with Home Depot's interest, I think, in a lot of ways, right, Kevin? I mean, in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Sustainability is a big, big focus for Home Depot, always has been. And just bringing value to our customer, whatever form it is. If it's ease of assembly, if it's lifetime of the product, if it's box to enjoyment, there's a lot of different ways to bring value to that customer.
And yeah, I can also see like a challenge, between, either people at Home Depot or at ours coming up with ideas and sharing them, and maybe even having a contest or something. I don't know, come up with cool stuff. But I'd hate to miss this opportunity in the sense of all these things aligning themselves. I would think that'd be fun to try something new, or whatever.
And we have a new product development group that does some work right now with Georgia Tech, and I can find out if they have any other projects on the hopper that we could maybe see if you guys would be interested in.
Wow, that would be excellent. Yeah, they've got an excellent program. So I think that would be really good.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
I know our plan this summer is to work on the sponsorship part. We're trying to figure out really, what is our plan this summer. We've got the pilot going in, proposal going in soon. But the plan this summer really is to work on refining that. And I think I think we need to be discussing kind of the scheduling question of how this would work. And, Andrea, in terms of your schedule and your program, and kind of trying to figure out the feasibility of the timing. And I think it would be better for us to have a plan and to present it to EDS, as opposed to waiting for EDS to come up with an idea. I think we do much better if we're given, this is why I brought it to them last week. I said, so what do we do when we have this opportunity, which to me is a perfect fit for Impact Studio? And they agreed. They did want to see you bringing in CLA and engineering.
Sure.
With the potential of that. So that's kind of where that is.
So I think that, yeah, any way we could do it. I mean, I would think, I just think I agree with you, Marilyn. I just think it's a great opportunity, and we've got, and Home Depot is interested, and, so I think whatever I can do and whatever we can do to make this thing go along, I'm really happy to help, of course.
Cool. And I think the planning then would be, to plan this out in this rest of this year, and then present and work with Wood Science and figure out, kind of the plan with, involving engineering. And, I think we'll talk with Jim Sweeney, but I think Bryony out of Mime, she's a good example of, or Nordica. There are a couple of different people who
I worked with the guy over there that ran the prototype studio, whatever, I can't remember his name. I did a term with him on prototypes. So
yeah, and so I think kind of having a plan and getting that refined the rest of this year, and then thinking about who you're talking about with the wood here in Oregon, and
right.
With Home Depot, I think really kind of setting up a really clear plan, and then saying this is how this has to work, because we need guidance with Impact Studio. We do much better if we're told how this could work, and then we want to make it work, right? So that's kind of
who tells us how to do that? I mean,
well, I think basically it's how to address. We need to come up with what classes would this be in, okay, and what would the time frame be, and who would be teaching the classes, and what would
what major would it be in, Marilyn? Not what classes it would be.
Well, so. Ultimately, they're hoping to have, like, let's say DIN. There's a certificate okay, so we were thinking like it could be your 400 level, Andrea, with the certificate. And so the students who wanted to go on and to complete the certificate,
I see.
then you would have separate classes that would be, DIM business, DIM impact studio, or whatever it's going to be.
Right.
So, but I think the question is, how is this just going to work logistically? And I think that Jim Sweeney has some ideas, but I think we need to make it clear what your needs are, Andrea, and what Wood Science's needs are, right? Because I think they're really important. That's who's not on this call, is Phil Mann.
Phil Mann, yes, correct.
So anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I think if there was, for me, what would be helpful is clarity coming from possibly EDS folks, maybe that's Jim, of what we need to propose exactly. You said it, but in writing, for a new course like this to happen. Like what would we'd have to show how what classes, as you said, it could be part of for this extra certificate. I think, Chuck, do you understand? I'm not sure, Kevin, if you understand the EDS model, but it's an extra certificate, isn't it, Marilyn, to somebody's major? So that's where we're kind of seeing the crossover, right? The multidisciplinary piece with this, not necessarily in the undergraduate major of DIM per se, though we could.
Well, they all take 341. The idea is they all take 341.
Which is design thinking.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We all talk in numbers.
Yes. And then I think it's a selection of taking 400. I think that's also in it.
Okay.
The design research. And so it may be, and I need to look back at that and to see which, because I think it would need to be probably 2 terms. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know.
I wonder if we could set up a program like with Home Depot, where we start with like the Ponderosa Pine, but then we just rotate into cool products and stuff that we design, and we just funnel them, in other words, we move them out to Home Depot. In other words, sort of in a collaboration, we use the same creativity we did with the Ponderosa Pine, create a product. It may or may not. We try to, because Home Depot is, kind of helping, we want to have products that go in through home improvement. So maybe that fits areas, but I don't know. I would think that might be a great way to, get Home Depot in, for the long term, just as a partner or something like that. I don't know.
Well, and you've had approval for 399. So Andrea, this is approved with the College of Business, and it's cross-listed with Wood Science. So if this is on the EDS certificate as an elective, then DIM students can take that course. Okay, they can opt to take that course. So, there are a few ways to look at this. If it's not going to be in one of the main courses in DIM, then they would choose to take that, which I think is a really good way to start.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to get as many people into this as possible from all different places, because I think they're dying. That course we did, we used some of your design people, with the barley beer, last 4 weeks of class. It wasn't perfect, but I think that worked out really cool. That was kind of fun. I don't remember, exactly who was involved, but the more I think we could do that and use the Impact Studio as the mechanism to make that happen, and challenge the students, and I think it's really worthwhile.
So for that, to use 399, all we need to do is add that to the electives for the EDS certificate.
What they're talking about, Kevin, is after this class, there was some excitement, and I reached out to Wood Science, College of Forestry, and we actually Wood Science, our College of Forestry just hired a guy who is a wood designer. He's from the Rhode Island School of Design, which is a top design school. So we've got that piece of the puzzle, and we've got a tremendous support from the Ponderosa pine industry. So that's where we're thinking, yeah, and we've got a course. So that course is actually approved, but that's a big deal in universities. Getting something approved. But I mean, that I got done, and we didn't get any enrollment just because we haven't really marketed the course a proper way. And a vehicle to do this would most likely be the Impact Studio and getting it on the books, right? Because we're also in the middle of a pandemic too. That's the other problem. Mm-hmm. But I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's a great idea. Yeah. And Kevin, if you can think of any, when you're in your meetings and anybody's relationships that they have, like Georgia Tech or any of these other ones, we want to get on the list, in terms of working with you guys on stuff. And so find out, we'd like to get, we want to get a relationship. I don't think Home Depot has a relationship with Oregon State University. And we want to get a good because we got a lot to offer you guys, right? I mean, we've got the #1 forestry school in the world. We've got the other thing that we've got is, and I may have mentioned this to you before, but our College of Business is unique in that we've got a design school within it. And I think Stanford's the only one that has one like that. And that's really cool. I mean, and and we don't bang our chest, next to Cornell, Oregon State University gets more federal earmarked research money than any other college in the nation. And we don't bang our chests enough about that here. So we want to, and I don't mind, and Kevin knows, I'm not shy. So, I'll tell us how great we are and whatever. But I'm just saying that we need to start talking and doing business with Home Depot. We need to start, giving you great stuff, and you need to sponsor stuff, and we need to get that going.
And when you say sponsorship, what does that really entail?
I don't know.
Do you have other large organizations that are sponsors today, and what do they provide besides ideas? Do they provide support for certain disciplines? They financial support?
Yeah, it depends. I know with the Impact Studio project, we're looking at sponsors and looking at to work on a project like this. There's a fee or for going through the process. And I don't know that they've really confirmed that. I know they've gone back and forth on how much that would be. But basically, that is something that Impact Studio is looking at. Now, we also, as Chuck said, we're kind of outstanding in several areas. Our robotics program is also one of the top in the country. And I know they've had some sponsors for the work that their students are doing. I think it depends, and I don't know the details about what the sponsors are paying.
I think we can figure that out. I think if we could come up with some products, I think if we could fit some product areas that you guys are looking to meet in the sustainable category, let's say. I was thinking the other day when I was thinking about you and Marilyn and Andrea, I was thinking, we could do something where we could send all the students to Home Depot and go into the Home Depot and find everything that you're selling that's made out of plastic. And we come back and we design it out of wood, and we try to sell it, and we create a marketing on it. Like, what would it take to sell, instead of a plastic cooler, what would it take to come up with a wood cooler and make it cool? And then we challenge design, we challenge, wood, and we come up, and then you guys have an exclusive on it. That's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about.
Fresh eyes like that are always welcome.
Yeah.
Well, I think also the college business, I've only been in it for, 6-7 years now, but they have a lot of protocols and processes in place for how projects are sponsored and what that looks like. Like you were saying, Marilyn, marketing has a whole unit, right? And that, Chuck, is it that C to C or whatever it used to be called?
Well, C2C, but yeah, that's that they have that, and they do some work there. I think this is a much bigger project. I think we could go and all. And I think with a good business plan, I mean, you know, Home Depot is only a $110 billion company. I mean, I think there's room to move here if we come up with a plan that's workable.
But I would say, I guess to my point, it's we have quite a robust infrastructure in place in the college to help faculty with just this, in terms of what does, we have this potential great partnership and project. Who should we talk to about potentially what, you know, they want to know, and rightly so, Kevin, good question. What does sponsorship entail? What's it all about? Just to get that answered clearly by people in the college who are working in that space. I'm not sure who that is. Marilyn, you and I could dig around. We don't know.
So a couple of years ago, a dean of ours was really, very focused on sponsorships. And her plan was that any company who wanted to have a project done in a class had to support it with $5,000 for that term. And whether or not that's still the case, I don't know. Audrey would be the person who would know. Audrey, if
that's the person I was trying to figure out. You know how there's just so many people who do.
They change all the time.
So, and Kevin, we're in between deans now. We've got an interim dean, so we're in between. So that's in university stuff. That's we're confused, and we're not organized or whatever. I don't know. That's not fair, is it, Marilyn? I don't know.
Well, it's
fine. We're searching right now. We're searching for one, but
yeah.
So anyway, this sounds great. Just to wrap up, I mean, I think this is terrific. We'll just keep in conversation.
Absolutely. And Kevin, do get us some more information from Home Depot about stuff that Georgia Tech's doing. I want to be better than them with you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though they're in your back door, we got more wood than they do in Georgia.
Well, I feel like since we've been remote, our NPD group has kind of lost traction. So we have engineers in the house that are assigned to creating these new product ideas. We don't manufacture anything. We come up with the idea and we'll turn it over to a company to finalize the design. If we have some of these ideas for a need that we see as met within our stores, it's something we turn over to you guys as a sponsor and have you take it. It may not be a wood park necessarily.
Well, you know what? That brings up a good point. Maybe we could have another Zoom meeting at some point between you and introduce you to this guy, Phil Mann, because he's he designs furniture and stuff. He's really cool. And to connect him with your guys might be pretty, that might open another few doors or something like that.
Yeah, I have patio furniture I mentioned before, and there's been zero innovation in that category. It's all made overseas. There's a little bit made here domestically, but there's been zero innovation there from a design standpoint and usability, and so there's opportunities there as well.
Okay, well, why don't we do this, Marilyn? You can follow up with Impact about this meeting, and I'll follow up with Kevin and keep the ball rolling there, and we can talk offline too, if whatever, just because to see if we can keep the momentum going on this thing. I think
sounds good.
Cool.
All right. It was nice to chat with you and